What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, please make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And before we get into this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to the guys over at the Blue Bloods podcast. On YouTube, it's just the Blue Bloods. I was on their show last week, and basically what we did, we talked all about the Ravens draft, and they're a big college football podcast. So I was a guest on there, and we had a lot of fun just talking about the draft, different prospects and things like that. So if you want to get another perspective, go check out the Blue Bloods, and you can see kind of me on their channel talking about that kind of stuff and the draft. But it was a lot of fun. So shout out to them for having me on. But in this video, I want to talk about one particular player in the draft that I really do not want the Ravens to target. I don't want the Ravens to draft them whatsoever. And honestly, he may be a guide for other teams to draft. Normally, when I make these videos, I say this is team specific. This is just for the Ravens. But, there are some flaws in this guy's game overall that could be okay, maybe a lot of teams shouldn't go after him. Could still be very good in the right fit and things like that. But for the Ravens, absolutely do not draft. And I'm talking about Rondale Moore. And I've seen people have him in mock drafts. I've seen people say, what if we could target Rondale Moore? If we traded back in the first round and maybe had an early second round pick, go for Rondale Moore. If he slides in the second round, go for Rondale Moore. I really don't want Rondale Moore whatsoever. To start off, why is his height. And his size. I like to say I'm like a height elitist at the wide receiver position, but if we drafted a guy that was like 6 foot or 5'11", it wouldn't be the end of the world. But it would be pretty bad if we drafted another 5'9", 170-pound wide receiver. And that's what Rondale Moore is. Yeah, he's fast. But being fast, but being very, very small is it's really not a need on the Ravens. We have Hollywood Brown. And people may say, oh, yeah, but he could be better than Hollywood. Okay, well, is he going to be able to stay healthy? He's played in, I believe, 7 games in the last 2 seasons. 7 games. Why? Injuries. Okay, so people want the Ravens to go after an injury-prone, very small wide receiver. That's already should be a no right there. Boom, should be a no. But I can keep going. And what he brings to the Ravens, and if you read, kind of things about him, he could be kind of a versatile player, multi-purpose, a Swiss Army knife kind of offensive tool. Now that's something that I love to hear. Guys that can be multiple, spots on the field. Guys, I'm thinking off the top of my head, a guy like Devin Duvernay, honestly, who can kind of come out of the backfield. A guy like Deebo Samuel, a guy like Tyreek Hill, to name more of a much faster guy. But overall, those guys that can play everywhere can really have a lot of success. And that's not to take away from Rondale Moore, but the Ravens are not known for their ability to utilize Swiss Army knife type of players. They have Greg Roman. I mentioned 2 other players. I mentioned Deebo Samuel. I mentioned Tyreek Hill. Look who they have at their head coach. Offensive masterminds in Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid. So they're able to maximize that type of output out of their kind of Swiss Army knife type of tools. I mean, look at what Kyle Shanahan's done with Kyle Juszczyk. Look at what he's done with George Kittle. Look at what he's done with Brandon Ayuk. And obviously Andy Reid. I hate giving Andy Reid props. I'm not a huge Chiefs fan. But, look at what he's done with that offense. The plays that he has them running, the jet sweeps, they got DeMarcus Robinson looking like a monster, every once in a while. So overall, a Swiss Army knife type of player can be utilized if you have the right type of coach. If you have a very, very smart coach and you have, a great passing game coordinator, that can develop those types of things, it can work. The Ravens don't have that. We got Greg Roman calling the plays. Now, Keith Williams, T. Martin, could they come in and be pretty solid? Yes, but expecting them to be able to convince Greg Roman to put different plays in the playbook in their first, few games, it's expecting a lot out of them. Now I think they could be solid. They can definitely help, but all of a sudden being oh yeah, we got a guy. They're going to be, offensive masterminds that can develop great plays. I don't really expect that to happen. So overall with Rondale Moore, for the Ravens, we don't need an injury-prone 5'9" wide receiver that weighs about $170. That's That's just not what we need. We need a guy. I like to say, I can talk about this a little bit more in this video. I like to talk about what the Ravens need a wide receiver. And I typically say they need a big jump ball wide receiver, which I still believe is true. They need somebody that can go up and make big catches. But really, they need a guy. First thing is they have to be able to block. They have to be able to stay on the field. We can't have a player that we draft that we have to sub out every time that we run the ball. We have to sub out Hollywood a lot of times when we run the football. And that's, that just is a hindrance because the defensive coordinator is like, wait a minute, Hollywood Brown's coming off the field. Miles Boykin is coming in as the only receiver on the field. Yeah, this is a run. So when we have wide receivers that are very small, and we have Greg Roman, who already is pretty open, he's kind of a glass house type of person. Everybody kind of knows what he's doing. And we have a guy that has to get subbed out every time we run the ball. Boom. That's not going to help us really whatsoever. Now, could be very good for other teams, but come on. We need a guy that can block. I think that's why I was big on Juju Smith-Schuster. I put out that video a very long time ago, way before, a lot of the hype started coming around for the Ravens going after Juju. But, getting a guy that can block is good. Now, I say that I want size. Being a guy, we have Miles Boykin. Miles Boykin, I think, is 6'3". Miles Boykin does not play big. We just need somebody that plays big. And guys like Rashad Bateman, they play big. Even a Kadarius Toney can play big. Now, I will say I'm not a big fan of Kadarius Toney. Wouldn't love him as a draft pick, but just saying him as an example. Getting guys that are willing to go up and make big plays. And that's why I really look at the height. I really look at the size, but you also have to look at the way they play because, you look at Miles Boykin, he just plays small, doesn't really maximize his height. Could he? Yeah, he could end up doing that every once in a while. He does make some big catches, but for the Ravens, don't draft small wide receivers. That's pretty much what this video is about. I will say I have some major news, and I kind of teased it a couple times before, and I guarantee I'll be able to tell it tomorrow. So I'm very excited for that. Hopefully the Trez the Bank podcast will come back, I think, on Monday. So everybody stay tuned for that. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. Sorry for the shorter video. I really just wanted to talk about this smaller wide receivers thing. There's not a ton to talk about. I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there. But as always, if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments section down below if you think that the Ravens should go after a much smaller wide receiver, or if you think that there are some smaller wide receivers that the Ravens should target that are late round guys that they could go after. But for me, I want a guy with some size. They could be a fast guy. I think Anthony Schwartz is his name, the guy out of Auburn. He's 6 feet tall. Get him for a speedster. So those are the types of things that, I love to see in the comments, just people interacting and things like that. But thank you all for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.